to Deep Sleep Stories. Thank you to everyone who's been listening. If these stories help you relax or fall asleep, a short review, comment, or sharing the podcast with someone who might benefit is a simple and meaningful way to support the show so that we may continue to offer it for free. Now, take a slow, gentle breath and let's begin tonight's story.
Hello, I am Owen Thorne, and I'm here to guide you into a realm of deep rest and gentle wonder. For a moment, allow yourself to sink into the present. Let the tension in your shoulders soften, and let each breath become longer and more soothing. You've chosen to spend some time enveloped by a story that will unfold beneath a starry night sky, brimming with the secret luminescence of fairy lights and the gentle chorus of crickets. Soon, you'll find yourself wandering through a quiet forest glade, where magic sparkles in every rustling leaf and every soft ripple of moonlit water. Right now, in this early moment, you need only to breathe, to let your thoughts drift, and to feel the weight of your body gently resting. A sense of calm beckons you deeper, gently encouraging your worries to float away on the evening breeze. Take one more deep inhale and then release it slowly, letting go of lingering cares. You are safe here, ready to settle in for a night of serene enchantment. On a warm evening, beneath the silver glow of a waxing moon, a lone traveller meandered through a whispering woodland. The traveller's pace was unhurried, each step soft on a bed of pine needles and damp leaves. The forest had its own language, branches hushed by a night breeze, moss-covered logs exhaling the faint perfume of damp earth, and a soft cricket symphony underscoring every breath of wind. This traveller, drawn to the promise of an enchanted evening, felt the forest's invitation in the hush of the night air. Overhead, the canopy parted in places like small windows onto a sky sprinkled with sparkling stars. Their celestial shimmer seemed to blend with something else, something faint at first. Gradually, dozens of tiny lights came into focus between the trees, flickering in and out of sight. At times, they looked like playful sparks from a distant fire, and at others, they seemed to float gracefully as if made of living moonlight. These were the fairy lights whispered of in old bedtime stories, luminescent, mischievous, and utterly mesmerizing. As the traveller ventured deeper, the gentle sound of crickets grew richer, a multi-layered lullaby that rolled out from every hidden corner of the undergrowth. Leaves rustled as small nocturnal creatures darted from shadow to shadow. An owl hooted softly in the distance, adding its own solitary note to the woodland orchestra. The night was alive yet unhurried, as if every creature had agreed to keep the volume of this midnight serenade to a gentle hum. The traveller soon came upon a natural corridor of arching branches, where moonbeams slipped through overhead gaps to form translucent pools of light on the mossy ground. The air here was cool but welcoming. Each breath carried a hint of pine sap, damp bark, and the sweet musk of forest ferns. Even the slightest swirl of night breeze set the ferns dancing, casting soft moving shadows across the traveller's path. In that shifting interplay of light and shadow, the forest began to reveal delicate sparks of magic, Deeper still, a clearing emerged, spacious enough to see the wide open sky, and intimate enough to feel sheltered by the ancient trunks standing guard around its edges. The grass was tall and soft here, dotted with moonlit clover and miniature wildflowers, their pale petals shimmering like tiny mirrors for the moon. On the perimeter of the clearing stood several old oak trees. Their bark was rough, gnarled with age and covered with a lacework of moss. Nestled in the nooks of their roots were mushrooms that glowed faintly with an otherworldly phosphorescence. Even the traveller, prepared for wonders, found this place breathtaking in its quiet, glowing allure. Within this clearing, the fairy lights took on a more pronounced presence. They appeared not merely as drifting sparks, but as fluid, dancing flares of pale, golden radiance. At times they drew close, hovering near the traveller as if curious, then darted away, leaving gentle trails that lingered like after-images in the night air. From above, a scattering of starlight drifted down like endless silver confetti, blending seamlessly with the fairy orbs below. Together, these luminescent points gave the scene an almost dreamlike haze. Although the traveller did not speak, a subtle communication took place. The forest and its dazzling inhabitants spoke in gentle rustles and twinkling glows. Wordlessly, they invited the traveller to find a place of rest. At the heart of the clearing lay a fallen log, covered in plush moss and soft as a cushion. The traveller approached it slowly, taking a seat amid the quiet hush, and allowed body and mind to relax in the ambient serenity. For a time, the traveller sat in perfect stillness. The hush of the clearing was not silence, but a tapestry of soft sounds. Crickets chirping, leaves stirring, the faint brush of the traveller's own breath. The combined whispers of wind and woodland life lulled thought after thought into a slower rhythm. Any tension in the traveller's body seemed to melt, replaced by a sensation akin to floating on a calm, warm sea. Above, the moon rose higher, its gentle beams illuminating the forest floor in a soft, diffused glow. No bright, glaring light disturbed the scene. Rather, everything was bathed in a tranquil half-light, perfect for dreamy contemplation. Eventually, the traveller rose from the mossy seat and wandered along the edge of the clearing. The grass welcomed each footstep with a muted swish. Nearby, a cluster of glowing mushrooms formed a small ring. Their radiance was subtle yet distinct, casting a ghostly aura on the surrounding leaves. The traveller gently touched one of the mushrooms, feeling a cool, damp surface beneath cautious fingertips. The glow pulsed momentarily, like a quiet heartbeat, and then remained steady, as if granting approval for the traveller to linger. Drawn by a glimmer beyond the ring of mushrooms, the traveller followed a faint shimmer through a narrow gap in the towering oaks. On the other side, a winding path led deeper into the forest, where scattered fairy lights bobbed like will-o'-the-wisps guiding the way. Soft moss cushioned the traveller's steps, and overhead, leaves interlaced to form a dome of living green. Ancient tree trunks, wide enough that 3 people joining hands could not encircle them. stood as silent witnesses to countless nights of enchantment. As the traveller ambled along, a gentle melody drifted through the air. At first, it was barely audible over the chirping crickets, but little by little it grew clearer, a music made of tinkling chimes and delicate notes that rose and fell like distant laughter. The traveller paused, sensing an invitation hidden in the melody. Each note seemed to say, "Come closer, and we will show you wonders." Following the sound, the traveller ventured off the path and into the gentle darkness of clustered ferns, guided by flickering fairy lights. Beyond those ferns lay another small glade, encircled by graceful birch trees, whose papery bark glowed faintly in the moon's soft radiance. Here, the fairy lights spiraled upward, shimmering among the tree branches like drifting stars caught in a dance. In their midst hovered a small assembly of ethereal figures. Their forms resembled delicate silhouettes with translucent wings, quietly playing tiny instruments carved from hollow reeds and polished stones. Their music was not loud or clamorous, but gentle, like the memory of a lullaby from long ago. Each measure blended with the heartbeat of the forest, weaving a lull that made the traveller's eyelids grow heavy with contentment. Curious yet respectful, the traveller watched from the periphery. The forest seemed to breathe in time with the gentle pulse of the glowing mushrooms and the drifting arcs of fairy light. The night's air felt thicker here, like a soft, magical mist that ensconced every living thing in a blanket of tranquility. Even the crickets, chirping in their ceaseless refrain, seemed to keep tempo with this otherworldly ensemble. When the music faded to a whisper, the luminous figures dispersed among the trees, leaving only faint glimmers in their wake. The traveller felt no urgency to follow. This was a place that welcomed slow movements and unhurried observations. Moving at a measured pace back to the main clearing, the traveller found the moon higher now, a luminous sentinel in the sky, guiding nocturnal wanderers with its serene glow. Each step along the forest floor was met by a gentle rustle of leaves or a delicate crackle of twigs. Sometimes the traveller would pause to inhale the aroma of night-blooming flowers, each white blossom opening toward the moon and releasing subtle hints of sweetness into the cool air. The hush of the woods was occasionally broken by the slow drip of dew from a leaf, creating a tiny ripple in a hidden puddle somewhere in the undergrowth. All these little moments passed like pearls on a string of time, each one glimmering gently before slipping into the next. Returning to the central glade, the traveller noticed that the fairy lights had shifted. Some formed faint, dancing patterns near the treetops, while others meandered closer to the ground, tracing faint spirals above the grass. Their glow illuminated small pockets of forest life, gnarled roots, bright lichens, and the faint stirring of night creatures who ventured out to feed under the protective cover of darkness. The traveller felt a comforting sense of harmony, as though every element of this enchanted forest was part of a single lullaby, orchestrated to soothe weary spirits. Drawn by curiosity, the traveller ventured to the far side of the clearing, where a narrow footpath snaked away through a grove of slender aspens. The bark of these trees reflected the moonlight in a silvery sheen, creating the sensation of stepping into a corridor of enchanted mirrors. Farther along, an old wooden bridge arched over a narrow stream that trickled with serene determination. The water glistened beneath the moon, each ripple catching a sliver of light and sending it off in a soft, liquid sparkle. Pausing at the center of the bridge, the traveller leaned over the handrail, watching the moon's reflection waver gently in the water below. In that reflective surface, fairy lights also danced, twinkling as they darted overhead. The cricket's song seemed to echo off the stream's banks, doubled in gentle resonance by the water's soft murmur. Standing there, the traveller allowed the forest to move in time with a slower, more restful heartbeat. Thoughts became unhurried, drifting weightlessly like dandelion seeds carried on a summer breeze. Sighing softly, the traveller felt an immense contentment, as though time itself had slowed to match the soothing lull of the woods. Eventually, a single bright fairy light fluttered by, beckoning the traveller to follow. Gliding away from the bridge, it hovered like a tiny lantern, leading the way further along the path. More lights joined, weaving through the air in a little parade. The path wound through stands of ancient pines, their canopies forming tall silhouettes against the star-freckled sky. Low-hanging branches swayed gently, and now and then a pine cone tumbled to the forest floor, softly cushioned by the bed of needles. At last, the line of fairy lights guided the traveller to a small pool nestled between rocks that gleamed palely under the moon. The surface of the water was still, reflecting the stars above in perfect clarity, as if the heavens had come down to rest on the forest floor. Soft lily pads drifted on this pool, some adorned with blossoms that glowed faintly like living candles. Here, the cricket's chorus melded with the sweet music of trickling water that gently spilled in from a tiny waterfall at the far edge. The traveller knelt by the pool, letting one hand brush the water's surface. A slight chill ran across the fingertips, matched by a sense of peaceful refreshment that flowed up through the arm and into the traveller's entire being. Taking a seat on a smooth rock at the pool's edge, the traveller gazed around, marvelling at the quiet interplay of nature's nighttime palette. Shades of silver moonlight, dark silhouettes of trunks and rocks, the delicate glimmer of fairy lights, and the deep blue canopy of sky. The hush of this place seemed even softer, as if the traveller had entered a secret chamber of the forest, reserved for the purest moments of reflection. Time felt fluid here, measured not by ticking clocks, but by the gentle pulse of crickets and the calm drip of water. Without any sense of hurry, the traveller's gaze drifted up to the stars. Constellations that rarely revealed themselves in brighter places shone clearly now, weaving ancient stories of heroes, creatures, and gods across the midnight expanse. The watery reflection mirrored them so perfectly that it became difficult to discern which was sky and which was water. It was as though the earth and heavens had joined, creating a boundless realm of dreamlike possibility. The traveller's breathing slowed further with each passing moment, lulled by the cosmic embrace of forest and sky. Gradually, the subtle glow of the fairy lights at the perimeter of the pool gathered closer, forming a faint ring around the traveller's resting spot. Their shapes flickered in gentle waves, as if tidally pulled by the same invisible current that guided the stars. In their warm light, the traveller felt enclosed by a kind of gentle lullaby, an unspoken reassurance that in this place only softness and tranquility existed. No burden of the day clung to the traveller's mind now. Any worry or care had been gently carried off by the melodic hush of the forest, the calming presence of the moon, and the delicate motion of these luminescent companions. Minutes, or perhaps hours, passed in this hush. The traveller eventually stood and returned along the path, crossing the small wooden bridge again, and weaving back among the aspens. The moon was higher still, approaching its zenith, its glow unwavering and kind. The worn footpath guided the traveller under rustling leaves and arching branches, until finally the clearing from earlier came into view once more. There, the tall grasses and wildflowers seemed to whisper welcomes, and the fallen log still bore its cushion of soft moss, an invitation to recline in the forest's cradle. Settling down on the moss, the traveller reclined fully this time, letting the entire length of their body rest against nature's gentle bedding. Overhead, the fairy lights had grown in number, sprinkling the clearing with a slow dance of shimmering glints that bobbed, weaved, and twirled amid the tree branches. The rhythmic cadence of the crickets formed a soothing lull, as steady as a heartbeat. Every fibre of the forest seemed to sway in the same communal lullaby. Slowly, the traveller's attention drifted to the interplay of distant stars and shimmering fairies. Each breath came more effortlessly, each exhalation releasing more tension, more of the day's weight, until only a sense of floating remained. The hush of the night, broken only by the simplest of gentle sounds, seeped into every corner of the traveller's mind. The hush invited deeper stillness, encouraging the traveller to embrace rest wholeheartedly, without resistance. All around, the forest pulsed with quiet life. A breeze occasionally rolled through, but it was a comforting one, like the soft exhalation of the woods themselves, a lullaby in the language of rustling leaves. A single shooting star arced across the night sky, its brief flare reflected in the traveller's open, tranquil eyes. It was as though the universe had decided to slip one final magical moment into this serene tapestry, ensuring that, should the traveller recall this night, it would always be gilded with wonder. Somewhere between consciousness and dream, the traveller felt the last threads of wakefulness gently untangling. The hush grew deeper, cradling the forest in a timeless quiet that promised nothing but gentle peace. The fairy lights, still dancing above, seemed to dim in sympathetic harmony, as though they sensed that now was the moment for true rest, for letting the mind and body drift into the warm embrace of sleep. Now, dear wanderer of the forest, the pulse of the night calls you into complete repose. Each breath you take is softer than the last, each heartbeat more relaxed and unhurried. The hush in this woodland clearing is here to wrap around you like a favorite blanket, warm and comforting. The cricket's lullaby no longer asks you to listen closely. Instead, it offers a soothing background to your gentle descent into slumber. The fairy lights, though shimmering still, fade to a calm glow, guiding you toward a quiet realm of dreams. Listen to the nighttime breeze. Listen to the hush it carries. Allow your muscles to melt into the soft earth beneath you. Accept this gift of rest. There's no need to resist or wonder what comes next. The forest holds you with kind regard, a silent promise that you're safe and free to let go. Feel the steadiness of your breath, the even rhythm that mirrors the slow heartbeat of the woods. The hush of moonlit branches has softened. The gentle drip of dew is lulling, and a tender wave of drowsiness flows through your limbs. Every cell of your body surrenders to this embrace. Release the lingering strands of alertness. The forest's magic flows around you, guiding your mind to gentle, drifting dreams. Let your eyes fall closed if they haven't already, letting the final glimpses of fairy lights dance behind your eyelids. The warmth of the night, the gentle hum of crickets, and the glow of moon and star combine into a comforting lull. All is well. All is quiet. Rest in that peace. Let it cradle you. Let it carry you beyond your waking moments and into the soft sanctuary of sleep. Good night, dear traveller. Sleep well.